But when they left it to these people that just came in with this idea that we are going to exploit black folk and get their money, and we are going to use it to push our agenda. Now, Black Caesar, Fred the Hammer Williams, an athlete, played the role in that. Black Caesar was the hero. He drove off into the sunset smoking a big black cigar. And he was a dope dealer, but he prospered. The drug dealer was the hero. They had a shootout scene down in Long Beach Harbor on the wharves, as they were back then, and no LAPD showed up, and everybody's looking at this. About 10 or 12 of us went at the same time to see it. Man, where the police? You mean they got away with this? No way. Why are they glamorizing a drug dealer? And see, the revolutionary thing was put all the drug dealers and pimps on the wall, put all the rapists on the wall. But you see, there was counter-revolutionary. So rather than the brothers wearing a tie, got their acts together, going to college, working hard, being enterprising, trying to get the people together, we started getting gangsters and hoes and pimps glamorized. And then they had that just absolute bottom of the pile, slime at the bottom of the barrel, Superfly. That thing hit so big in 1971 that you had lines out the front of the theater, from the ticket office to the corner, round the corner to the next street, down that street to the next street, and back around again, where they'd buy a ticket, get in line to go see the movie, and they got to go all the way around the block, and then fighting and carrying on because somebody's cutting up in line. See, that's not right. And that's what we were having, glorifying this dysfunction of cocaine. And they made it a cult classic. And they had 3 or 4 of these foolish movies, and everybody switched from afros and dashikis and jeans or fatigue jackets, ready for the revolution, to, they got on these platform shoes,
pimp hats,
big wide pimp rims, pimp mobiles, pressing their hair again, and they trying to run the babes, really nasty, really, really nasty. It just evolved. And by then we had gone through this experience in the late 60s, where 67, it was almost there. 68 was really getting it on. Between 68 and 70, it fell flat because so many people in these organizations had infiltrated the organizations. They were snitches, informants, and sworn officers of some alphabet federal agency or police department. Really, really bad. So interestingly, about 6-7 years ago, I just had occasion to get Freedom of Information Act and look up some of these organizations I had something to do with. And I'm reading redacted, so-and-so did so-and-so, redacted and such and such and such. I said, I know who they were, because I remember when this happened at the meeting. I always thought those low-down fools were what they were. See, and you start looking at, man, most of the people in the organization were working for somebody besides black folks.
Right. Well, the man who put his hand to check to see if, I heard, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, the man who checked to see if MLK was dead while everybody else was pointing was working for the CIA.
Yeah, well, he was the first formally declared black agent for the CIA. They hired him. He wasn't even supposed to be on duty. King was dead. Nobody smothered him in the hospital. I was the last judge on that. They shot him from the fire station tower with a weapon that the FBI supplied. It was an XM-21 with a peculiar rate of rifling twist and some peculiar ammunition, which is exactly what they pulled out of King's body, with a rate of rifling twist consistent from that weapon. Late December 1967, the FBI got 5 of them from the Defense Department on invoice. The serial numbers were given. I have them. And late April, that same month King got killed in 1968, the Attorney General ordered the weapons to be returned to the Defense Department. The FBI on inventory claimed they lost one. They only had 4. And the shot did not come from the flop house. It didn't come from the bushes. It came from the fire station. There was a two-man hit team. It was not mob. It was not some stupid fanatics, Raul, anything else. They were diversions. They were alternative scapegoats. What it most likely was is two trained snipers out of the Marine Corps Sniper School that was located at Quantico, where the FBI had its training academy. So they just walked over, and the senior agent asked them to do one more duty, one more task for country. They would supply the clean weapons, the ammunition. They had everything zeroed, 3D table map of the thing, and they rehearsed it. They bamboozled King into staying at the Lorraine Motel, which was a whorehouse. It was an hourly wait place, and the prostitutes did their business there. And he didn't have any need to be in that place. He should have been at the Rivermont, Memphis, which was the Holiday Inn's flagship hotel. But somebody that Dick Gregory exposed got Dr. King as he was going out the east side of the building to bring him back to the west side, where he said, Dr. King, some of your fans are at the pool. And as Dick Gregory recorded, he asked the individual, Reverend Billy Kyles, said, why did you duck back in the door when you escorted King out on the balcony? And Kyles blurted out, I didn't want to get shot. Well, how'd you know there would be somebody getting shot? Well, I just had a feeling. Okay. So there's a lot more than meets the eye. There's a black cop named Ed Reddick that wouldn't leave the scene. He was on top of the fire station doing overwatch. When he refused, they sent 10 white cops down. They double handcuffed him and hog-tied his feet with a robe and unceremoniously dumped him into the back seat of the squad car and removed him. That's when Kyles calls his wife. We got an affidavit from her before she died. She said, the dinner was ready. I'm upset because it's getting dried out, so I'm going to make some gravy. So that's when all this stuff hits the fan. There was a black fireman up there they forgot about, so they had to call everything off until they got rid of him. They told him his son had been critically injured. He left to check. Nothing was wrong with the kid. He called to say he was coming back. They stopped everything until they got him squared away and say, oh, just take the day off, no penalty, since you're gone. And then, there were 6 black detectives and sergeants that were going to participate. And off the record, they tell a different story than their official version. Their official version was they were ordered to leave, and they went along with it. The off the record one is that their captain came down there and told them they'd be fired if they didn't leave. There was a threat against their lives, not King's, so they left in all kinds of poison.
Jeez. I'm gonna say 2 things to you.
So I'm
gonna say 2 things to you then. Since we're talking, I'm gonna throw on my tinfoil hat. I read where some agents who were with, you brought him up, LBJ, and I'm not talking about LeBron James. They said LBJ was ducking before one shot rang out. The Secret Service agent said when they heard the shots, they went to reach back to push him down, and he was already down. Do you believe?
Well, I can tell you what happened on that. That wasn't in the Kennedy assassination. It certainly wasn't on the King. If you've ever been shot at with a rifle, the bullet is hypersonic. It gets there way before the shot. So what happens is it leaves a shock wave. The bullet's fired. You don't hear the gun, but you hear a minor sonic boom, a crack when the bullet goes by you. Then you hear the gunshot.
Oh.
So to somebody it would look like he ducked before the gun went off. The gun went off. The bullet was just traveling about 2.5 times the speed of sound when it went by him. So he heard the crack, so you ducked.
All right. Second thing, I don't want to step on any toes. I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out because you know more than I do, especially since it happened in your backyard. There are people who have purported that Jesse Jackson helped point out that's.
He didn't have a damn thing to do with it. It was Billy Kyles.
All right.
I approached everybody, and I told them what I had found out. Reverend Jesse Jackson said, we got to get to the bottom of this, whatever we got to do. Okay. Ambassador Andrew Young said, this is funky. The story really needs to come out. We got to do what we got to do. Ben Hook said, let sleeping dogs lie. Billy Kyle said, let sleeping dogs lie. Everybody that my evidence showed was complicit said, let sleeping dogs lie. And Jesse said, we got to get to the bottom of it. Now, I'll tell you this. They were trying to discredit Jesse Jackson, so they put all kind of lies and tales out on him to cast innuendo so he would lose his credibility with black people. Remember, he ran for president. Twice.
Mm-hmm.
And he did pretty well.
Didn't he win in South Carolina, I think?
Yes. But see, compare him to that fake bathhouse Barry. See, his whole premise, I'm one of the people, is fake. He's the richest somebody in the White House. And the reason he's so rich is because his daddy, one of the 10 or 15 richest men on earth, left everything in a trust fund operated out of Indonesia with 3 equal beneficiaries, one of whom is Barack Obama. So the man was rich. Business Insider reported his net income after taxes and expenses for 2018 at $570 million.
Wow.
And what was apparently a $1.25 billion draw from his trust fund.
So now you're making me revisit and think this. So now I want your opinion or your facts on this. But I remember when they caught the hot mic of what Jesse Jackson said, and it seemed like he was.
Let me tell you what he was saying.
Because now it sounds like he had a point.
I was sitting on an airplane next to him for 3 hours, 4 hours. We were discussing this. He knew and I knew, and if you want the source, Tennessee Judicial Conference, we studied the demographics. Do you know what demographic group pays its child support most often, most regularly, as ordered in the whole of the United States of America?
I discuss that all the time. Black men.
Black men. So when Barack Obama got up there and started going, my brothers, we pay child support worse than anybody else in the country. It had not been 3 weeks since Jesse Jackson and I were discussing that on an airplane when he said, Daddy N needs his balls cut off. And the mic was open. Yeah, because he was lying, he was fronting off, and he was pandering.